Welcome to Center Heist Productions. Please hit the likes and subscribe down below in your right hand corner and share the video. Tell your friends and family and share it with them and them to share it with whomever online as well. And if you come across the channel, happen to be on it, don't leave without subscribing and hitting the likes. I'd muchly appreciate it. And thank you to my subscribers already. My followers, I appreciate that. We have just passed our second year anniversary on the 22nd. So it's kind of blows the mind that that much time has gone. All right. Now we're going to get right to it as I promised. We're going to start evaluating the halves as the season goes and allowing ourselves to discuss what's going on the ice and what we have uh, for a team at the moment. How this rebuild is going. The first quarter is over. Now, let's get right to it. The mistake that was made, because Habs fans are going berserk, and I'll tell you what, I seen, like I watch a lot of different episodes of different podcasts, and I got to agree with Maxim. Everything Maxim Lapierre said last night is totally correct. I'm 100% in agreement with him when he was on Tony's, and I can understand like Tony's frustration. I can see all the fan base's frustration. However, I think we're all kosher. Like I know Tony and myself, we're kosher with. We have no problem with getting a top draft pick, and I think we should stay put, stay pat to get that. You don't want to turn this into your chick because you're never going to catch that wild card spot at this point. Give it up. Montreal, from ownership all the way through the coaching, that means down through management, made the mistake of saying this team would be in the mix. And that's why you got Habs fans going berserk. They had a higher expectation that this team would be taking a crack. This team's not that good. That was premature. It was a statement that they should have thought about because this team's in the mix, and I've been saying it, for a top 5 pick. I'm convinced that I thought they might be around 7th. I even think my projection is wrong. I projected them, giving them the benefit of the doubt. I gave them the benefit of the doubt at being 82 and an improvement. I don't foresee that anymore. I think they'll be lucky to match last year. So I see us top 5. I thought before we'd be between 7 and 12 from the bottom. I don't see that anymore. And I hope we don't push it. Anyway, let's get that one of those top picks. We're in second last. I don't mind us staying there or being last. Get that player. That'd be one more piece to the puzzle. But, however, something's got to give. The evaluation. This is a team with no identity. That's where the problem comes in. I think Knuckles Nyland is totally right. I think Lapierre is right. I think myself and Tony have been right. I think this team has got no identity, and it's concerning. Now, our defense, I'm going to start there only because this is the easiest solution right now. No, maybe I'll start with goaltending. Sorry. I'll start with goaltending. We don't have a goaltender in the NHL. Sounds funny, don't it? Well, you're going to go, oh, Sam Montembeault and Primo. Well, Primo's not, shouldn't even be with us anymore. Waive him. We had a chance. They were concerned last year. Let's pray to God somebody takes him off waivers, because if he gets through waivers, you don't want to put him in Laval. He's done. It's over. The ship sailed. At best, Primo's an AHL goaltender. At best. So you would have to put him in the team below Laval. And that's just bottom dollar. Or buy him out and let him walk. Let's pray someone takes him, but he's not. You got to get him replaced for sure. Right now in this season, you can worry about replacing Monty down the road. Right now, we need a starting goaltender. That's got to be your first move. You need a goaltender with experience, a veteran, and that's kind of proven. So he's got to be half decent. You're going to need that. He doesn't have to be the elite of the elite, but he has to be above that backup category. He's got to be a starter. That's given. So you need that for the time being. And then Monty could back him up for now. And that would get you through this season. then you could start looking at, because there's no doubt by next season, I would not be surprised if one of the two in Laval could make that move. And because they were, sorry, Dobish was better than both of our goaltenders in training camp. And I think Hughes is too, has been proving that down there as well. So I think either one of these two guys could come up next season and work with the starter and see what happens, and would be a better combo than what we have right now. Yes, Monty played respectable. He's had a couple respectable games, but these goaltenders are not the answer for success. Let's be honest. At best, Monty's a backup goaltender. At best. And I'm still not sold on him, to be quite frank, with the goaltenders we have in our system. I see three goaltenders to four that could easily pass what we have. I see Dobish, Fowler. No, Fowler, got a great projection. And Dobish is doing awesome. Hughes is doing really well. And then that Russian, I think it's Bowden or something, goaltender. I see those guys as possibilities for our tandems in the future, but they got a time to go. So you need that veteran for the time being to be a starter, just to get us through. But I am convinced, like Dobish can make, or Hughes can make that step next year, and you can unload Sam Montembeau as well, because these guys, they're not starters. And yes, Sam is better than Primo, but let's be realistic. Um, I know it was a respectable game, and we got way out 13 shots. You're not going to win hockey games with 13 shots. That was last night against Utah. If you expect and think you're going to win, I don't even know how we went to overtime with only 13 shots and had a tie game. That's mind-boggling. That just tells me, boy, if we could have only produced at least even 10 more shots, we probably would have won that game. Kind of scary. But anyway, so there you solve your goaltending. That's got to be done. Stats. Now, you don't go doing it at the cost of screwing up the rebuild. Nothing should be done to screw up the rebuild. Do you have to realign the rebuild? Yes. I think anytime a team goes in the rebuild, you're going to have to evaluate it. Stop, evaluate, and go, okay, we got some problems here. Yes, we've picked these type of players, but they're not fast. They're not gritty. They don't know how to forecheck, and they're not very good at the back check. There's a problem, isn't there? Very much so. So, next, we're going to head um, to just wrapping up our defense. Although that shouldn't be it's not necessary for it to be the second trade, but the second trade should be actually in the forward group. But I'm going to deal with our defense first. Defense, it's time for Savard. And you can give it till trade deadline, but it's time to move him. He'll do fine with a team that's battling in the playoffs as a third pairing. I think he'll help a team that is, a much better hockey team than Montreal. Montreal in the rebuild, he doesn't have the wheels to do this anymore for what the Habs need. So I love him. He's probably our second leader behind Gallagher, who should be the captain. But it's time to move him by the trade deadline. You can hold on to him till then if you choose to. It really depends. Now we hear rumors that Hughes has been in a bunch of talks. That's what the insiders say. I don't know what, that's rumorville. Insiders say that he's on the phone a lot. Hughes is on the phone a lot. There's a good possibility. Who knows? However, get the goaltender. The Savard thing can be at the trade deadline. So that would solve get yourself a defenseman that is a second pairing defenseman that's 4 or 5 years younger than Savard, that has a winning pedigree and is a right-sided defenseman, but has to be a second pairing defenseman, because we need to buy time for these kids. It takes defensemen a lot longer, and we need to buy the time because we're going to go through a lot of growing pains with this defense core. Doesn't mean they're not good. It means first we got to improve that offense so that we bring in guys that are bigger, grittier, and that might be able to help the defensive structure, because this group is a joke. It's really pathetic, to tell you the truth. So anyway, get that guy that's got experience, good winning pedigree, about 4 or 5 years younger than Savard, and he can be a second pairing defenseman for the time being. You can always drop to a third pairing or trade him later down the road, a couple years when Montreal's ready to win. So you get him, just to be a veteran to help develop these kids because they're going to need time and they're going to have issues. They are coming along, but we know it takes long for them. We know right now, I mean, like, they all have different issues, a lot of blown coverages. But I do foresee in the future Gooley and Hudson being the first pairing. I would say that whoever you bring in, he can be with Matheson for the time being, or you could separate, the two of them, and I don't know, take a kid with each of them, whatever you choose to do. Uh, you know, but he should be a second pairing right defenseman, and able that you can juggle him and Matheson between the second pairing or third pairing, which however you want to do it. You put them each with a kid. How's that sound? And then, we do see progress from all three of the kids right now. Struble, who seems to be doing very well at knowing where to jump in out of all the kids, for that offensive side, the hybrid thing. Now he's got some flaws in his own end, for sure, and gets caught every now and then. That's the other thing. And they all seem to accept, I would say, yeah, anyway, they all seem to have issues with that. Jacki, on the other hand, he's improving as well, but getting better with positional. And you don't want to see him mess up that. I do want to see the two of those two right there bring more physicality, because I know they bring the odd hits and stuff, but without them going out of position, they're doing well. Jacki has really improved in that department. He still has some mistakes he makes. We know that, but I think if he can learn to use that size and Strubles, really, I'd say in that area, I want to see more of his physicality. The two of them, I want to see them. I just think they need to be more like Caden Gooley and be more physical. I think Caden Gooley, and he's not even as big as those two, shows more physicality. Only problem is he's got to stop making himself vulnerable. So that's the issue on that. That would take care of the defense for the time being. You can worry about, and Barron has even improved. I think Barron's fine for a seventh defenseman, but right now I have no problem with rotating Jacki, Struble, and Barron being in a rotation. I have no problem with that for the time being. I still think it's, if you want to make a decision and you move, because I am convinced that we've made a couple trades that we have failed, and we might even have a third that's being the big question mark that everybody's freaking out about right now. That could be a third one. Two projects have gone wrong now, and I'm going to shock you with the first one. Okay, so now we've dealt with the defense. That's what you need to do. Let them grow with a veteran goaltender and a second pairing right defenseman. You'll do better on the defensive side of things. You're going to have to fix the forwards, which I think has to even be done before the Savard move. I think this should be done right after the goaltender. And I think you need a Giroux, like Ottawa did with Claude Giroux. We need that type of move. Now that can be done trade deadline to the summer. You're going to have to make that type of trade. And it's probably going to take trading some big drafts, and maybe you have to get rid of a big piece, like a piece that is valuable. You might have to. Um, Sometimes you got to give up something. This team has no identity, and this is getting concerning. And we have to change that forward group, because here we go. I'm going to go right into it. Alex Newhook was a repo. What I mean by that, project player. Barron, project player. Doc, project player. Now, Doc, out of the three, was looking good until this injury. He was looking like we had a successful one. We all thought he may be the first center over Suzuki. Well, that ain't looking. Doc ain't Doc, and we all see that since this injury, and it is alarming. We got to give him some benefit of the doubt, but at the same token, it's the it's like last night. He shouldn't have been in that overtime. His urgency is not there, and that intensity. He's got to get that back. I think he needs a psychologist right now, a sports psychologist. I'm convinced of that. I think Newhook needs a psychologist. I think Slavkovsky needs a psychologist. I just think these guys need it. You might even have the three young defensemen needing a psychologist just to walk them through this. The goaltenders wouldn't even waste a psychologist on them. But anyway, for me, we know that Doc, or sorry, first. So you got to fix that. You got to do a Claude Giroux type of move. You have to bring in a forward with experience that is successful, top six type caliber would be nice. Would be, you at least second line. That would be nice. And I think it's crucial because Patrick Laney, he might help the team. I don't think he's going to help the team to the point that maybe the fans think. I mean, he'll get us some goals once. It's going to take him probably a month or two before he gets into high gear, gets back to himself. Can he get Doc out of this funk? None of us knows. Doc right now, if we were to evaluate Doc right now, he's not even looking like a center, second line center. Now, could he be a second line winger? He could be. That the book is still out, not in on it yet. The final word, but he's not. He's not looking like the first line center we thought he would be over Suzuki. And for me, I'm convinced, and I've said this all along, I thought he was going to be like a lot of groups of us thought it was possible. But I do agree with the group like Lapierre. I agree. Nick Suzuki should be a second line center. And what does that say for Kirby? Kirby shouldn't even be. At that point, he should just be a winger, second line at best. That's my opinion of that for what he's showing. Can he come out of this funk? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I just know that there needs to be a change in the way the coaching staff. Yeah, it's great that they moved Doc Slavkovsky down to the fourth line, but yet ice time wise, didn't really show for Doc. Showed for Slav. But this is where we get into that problem. And this is where I think Marty has to get over his pride and it needs to be made to get over his pride. And I love Marty. I mean, Wayne Gretzky was a horrible coach. Marty is showing inspirationally that he can do the development and things, and I wouldn't fire him. So that group that wants him fired, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. This is a time. This team's not at the winning point yet, and I think Marty's fine to be with for the time being. And I think if anything, it's now that management has to go to Marty and say, no, 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 this isn't working. And there's too many little signals here. You got to start treating the different strokes is not working for different folks. You can't do what you did with Anderson last year because that's what you're doing with Newhook this year. New York, just because Newhook got a goal, that was an easy one. It was a garbage goal, and it was just an easy one. And a lot of times he doesn't capitalize on those. So he has not played good hockey all season. Um, and for captaincy discussion, Suzuki has not been consistent. He's been one of our better players. The best players on this team all season long have been Gallagher, Heineman, and Evans. So far, best three hockey players on the front group. Defensemen, Matheson's are still always going to be up there. Gooley and Hudson show signs, but there's different areas where they're weak. Hudson on the defensive side and letting odd men rushes happen. And Gooley, I'd like to see a little. He's got the offensive capability, although if he's got to watch like last night, that second goal, when he was the only guy back because Lane lost his man due to Doc's shot that came off the boards. That's the type of stuff you got to be aware of. And but he's got the best excuse because he's the youngest kid. This is his first season. At least with him, he's got such offensive upside. He'll be fine, but he'll learn. I give him more leeway there. But they all have to learn because they're all, and this is even their veterans like Mike Matheson. I've seen him doing it. All of them pinching or losing and pinching in, and then not having the coverage, and you're getting those odd man uh, rushes on all of these guys a lot of the time, and that's got to end. We see progression in Struble and Yakai and Barron. Now, I think what I'd like to see is, like I said, Struble and Baron or Jackeye start getting use their size. Barron's going to need to if he wants to compete for a position, or he can just be the seventh defenseman for the time being. Montreal will have to make a decision on that anyway. They're probably going to have to trade an important piece in order to get what they need. Sorry, we've had 3 repo projects, as I just discussed. New Hook was a repo project. That's gone wrong. I knew it was immediately when we made that move. There's a reason uh, Colorado had him on the third line, and he didn't live up to where he was in the draft. Sorry. The facts are the facts. You can score a couple points. I mean, Slav's had a whole bunch of assists, and he's not playing well. But he more so belongs on that first line than Newhook. Now, do I think? I think Newhook, Slav, and Doc, even with that injury, should be rotating with Pizzetta. Pizzetta should be playing more games. Those 4 should be in a rotation. If Montreal was doing things honestly and fairly, that everybody was being held accountable, that's what would be happening. Now, you need, like I said, a couple more. Why we didn't jump on McEwen or a couple guys at that size that were gritty sandpaper players that were in the waivers, I'm kind of baffled on that one because we could have used it. I would move Newhook. Failure. Barron, kind of on the failure side, although he at least shows signs of improvement. I'll give him that. I still think Struble and Jack I would put ahead of him, but I think he has improved. I'll give him that. New Hook, sorry, that's definitely gone wrong. And now we got a position. Doc is not Doc. Doc was looking great before the injury and looked like he could be the second center. Now I don't think so. Um, unless some miracle happens, unless Lonnie can get him out of this funk. Shouldn't take that. Does he deserve it to be sat? Yes. I even think tonight they should set him. Personally, that's just my. He should have never been on in overtime. He, that's not Doc type of play. He usually covers his man, and for was it Swartz to go around him last night the way he did, and even losing that's just ridiculous. I don't know what he was doing. They were doing with him in the overtime period. Anyway, that baffled my brain where he's not playing well. And I mean, they definitely made a difference in Slav's ice time. So why can't you do it to the veterans as well? It's a joke. And there's no way in hell Newhook should be on the top 6. That is ridiculous. Anybody can capitalize a goal every now and then when you're set up as perfectly as Doc set him up last night with that puck in front of the goaltender going off the goalie in there. That anybody could cash in on that. So he skates aimlessly and he's just scared to get hit. And that's got to change in Montreal. And that's why I say he needs to be moved. It's a failed project. And Doc, I think you give him till the end of the season with that injury. That'll give you the answer about the center. Is he a center or not? I think you'll have your answer by the end of this season because he lost that year. This will be the year he lost. Unfortunately, he's working to catch up from the injury, but oh well. That you can't. There's not much you can do about that. You'll have your answer. Whether he's a center, I don't think he is. I hope he surprises me. I think he's a winger. Be kind of nice to have him and Lane on the wings, and you trade for a real second line center, or preferable a first line center. But anyway, you got to get a veteran with experience like the Claude Giroux type, like I just said. So you do that. That's what they got to do. But you should be capitalizing on bringing size with when you move out Doc or not Doc, sorry, Dvorak, and I would move out Newhook, and possibly it looks like Armia. Now, at least Armia protects the puck well, and he's played all right. He's not been a problem, but they'll probably move him too because he's at the end of the contract. If they're going to move those three, bring in size again. You need it, and grit. You need some grit and size for that bottom six, bottom dollar. You need a nasty fourth line, an energy line, and yeah, Tuck can be part of it, maybe. Thorpe to me is definitely the answer in the future for that. I think he was better than Tuck and Florian Jacki. I thought, it's just that he was younger in his junior career. But my God, that guy shows massive promise as a fourth line center easily. That for if you want a smashing line, and him and Tuck I could see. I'm not sure about Florian yet, but we'll see. But anyway, with that being said, so they got to get an identity. There's no way that these guys, with the money they're paid, let's, like Lapierre said, people, honest men and women go out and work their asses off for, 10, 12 hours a day to feed their kids, to get by and just get by. You're only asked as a professional hockey player making lotto type money, 3 to 5 times a year, however many of those checks come in. I think it's around that, or 13 of them. I don't know what it is. Anyway, that's the comment. I should have paid more attention to what Lapierre said there time wise. But anyway, those checks, he's right. And Knuckles is right. You're getting paid to play a fun game, a game you love. I'm sure you can bust your ass for 20 minutes and actually earn that money. Otherwise, you might as well just be sitting home getting paid and put somebody in there that wants to work. I don't, as much as I wanted Roy back, I would have left him in Laval because I don't think that was the answer they needed right now. I think you're just bringing him back to a mess that he already seen. And I just wouldn't have exposed any of them to that you have a plan for in the future. I would have made a couple trades. Now, you got to do that. Management's going to have a job, and I think they're smart enough to do it, that they can adjust this. And you don't want to adjust it to the point where you put yourself out of a good draft pick. You want it to just addressed enough that you see a little bit of progression. That would be nice. So I think add some size and grit. Decide when you're doing it from the trade deadline to summer, when you're bringing that top six forward in. Or are you doing it now? I doubt it. I would not go anywhere near Trevor Zegras. I heard that stupid story, and I'm sorry, I wouldn't go near that with. I know Doc's not got us happy right now. He's at least got an excuse because we have seen what Doc can do. It's just getting him. Can he come back? And we don't know. Otherwise, that's going to be a third project that fails. But we got to be willing as an organization to accept that. But we got to change the culture and get an identity. This team needs to start crashing and banging like Heineman, Gallagher, and Evans and Gooley. This team needs to get tougher, nastier, bigger, and a little more experience up front that can score. That is a top six. So that's where I see it, and this was just something because I seen just how nuts everybody's going, and they got a right to be. It's ridiculous, and we need an assistant coach brought in because Marty does not know how to fairly make these players accountable, and I think he needs to learn that portion of it. I love Marty, but that's got to change. That shows his inexperience. Thank you for watching. You've seen it here at Center Heights Productions. You'll probably hear me rant after the review video tonight with Columbus. God bless. Catch you in the next episode. You've seen it here at Center Heights Productions, where the puck drops first.